Albany, Texas was named for the former hometown of County Clerk William Krugers. Albany was established in 1873 and is centrally located in Shackelford County and holds a designation of county seat. Albany has so many cool sights, such as the restored Sinclair gas station, the oldest newspaper west of the Brazos, and the salt works down by the courthouse. You definitely don't want to miss a stop in this little town on your drive across Texas.
Drive across Texas.
Hey y'all, Pat Waters here. Drive across Texas. I'm in the county seat of Shackelford County in the great state of Texas, Albany, Texas, speaking with Mary Beth Jones, the director of the chamber. How are you, Mary Beth?
I'm good. How are you?
Oh, I'm good. Thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule to come talk to us.
Hey, we love it. We love anybody to come learn about our heritage and our history.
Well, that's great. Speaking of that, would you be so kind to tell all the viewers, about yourself and about this wonderful town in Texas called Albany, Texas?
Albany, Texas. Well, I've lived here for 20 years. My husband was born and raised here. We're raising two teenage boys, and love it. It cannot be anything better. We love our town. We love the pride. We have heritage. We have history. We don't come in and build new buildings. We take what buildings are here from the 1800s and they get restored. The building behind us is the O'Jail Art Center. It was built, the actual O'Jail, in 1870. On the rocks, you can see the initials of the masons, and that's how they were paid. They came and counted rocks to see how many rocks were placed by them, and they then paid them the money for the amount of rocks that were put there. Around 1980, it was purchased by a local man for a small amount of money because they were going to tear it down, and they have now opened it as the O'Jail Art Center. It is over 7,000 square feet and has 2,200 or more works of art. So all year long, they have new exhibitions coming in. They have artists from all over come exhibit their different arts, different kinds of work. It's always amazing to go in there because it can be so abstract, or it can be, Western.
Yeah.
So Lonesome Dove came at one time and did an exhibit here. I said Tommy Lee Jones and forgot what's his name.
Gus,
yes, they
Yeah,
all
Gus,
came.
that's what I know him as.
Yeah, came and
Robert Duvall.
Robert Duvall
Yeah.
came in, and they came the other day because they know that we have such history here. We were named number 9 in True West magazine as top Western towns in the United States.
Wow.
So that was an honor that we have just received.
That's great. Let me ask you a question about this old jail. I know you gave me a walk around up there a while ago, and actually this room closest to us was the solitary confinement.
Yes, sir.
And it's got a name etched on the wall.
Yes, sir.
And that was an inmate, right?
That was an inmate. He didn't have anything better to do. He was in the confinement, sitting on the floor, so he found a rock or something and carved his name, so he will always be there.
That's amazing. And then you also, I was reading the historical sign a while ago that you actually had an inmate here. I think his last name was Sermon, something like that. Is that right?
Solomon.
Solomon, yes. That Selman, that actually shot John Wesley Hardin.
Yes.
You know, that man he once killed a man just for snoring.
Yes.
Used to see that on TV commercial. But anyway, tell us a little bit more about, I know that y'all have several events during the year, and you've got I guess one of the only live musicals left in the state of Texas.
Yes, sir.
Outdoor. And it basically talks about different families and how they got here and how the area was brought up. Would you describe that?
It all started in Fort Griffin, which is about 15 miles north of here. The Fort Griffin town had 17 saloons. So that was the majority of the businesses. Wyatt Earp, Doc Holliday, Lottie Dino, all those famous people actually were in Fort Griffin. They actually had gunfights out there. It was a wild and woolly time. It was a good place to get away from the Indians. So a lot of the families, once the Indians began their raids, they moved into the fort for protection. When the train started is when actually Fort Griffin started dying down. People started moving into the town of Albany. The chamber is actually in the old depot building. It'll be 100 years old next year. It has burnt twice, so this is the third building that's still going to be 100 years old.
Let me ask you a question here now. just kind of doing some research and reading up on Albany, Texas. Now, they have very, very close ties, Albany, Texas does, with Cook's Children's Hospital.
Yes, sir.
Can
And
you tell the people the story about that?
there are a lot of people that I don't think know that story, but there was a lady named Matilda Nail, and she married a man named Cook, and she got her part of the Nail Ranch, and her and her brother didn't get along real well, so she ended up buying his part of the land. And his words to her were that you bought the sorriest piece of land in Shackelford County. Well, Miss Cook was ahead of her time. They called her Dude, I believe was her nickname. And she decided to drill oil. And they were dragging their oil rig out there, and it broke down. They couldn't get to where they wanted to drill, so they just dropped it and drilled. Hit a gusher. Now, they say around 1,000 barrels a day. Unfortunately for her, her husband died, and she had one child that died, so she had a lot of inheritance to give away, and she left it for a hospital to be built for veterans in the Fort Worth area. Well, after the war was over, they took that money and they built Cook's Children's Hospital. And my husband works out there, and you can still, there's a sign that says, well, number 1. It's not in operation now, but there's still several more in operation out there, so Cook's Hospital still gets a nice endowment from her generosity. There's a fountain on our bank park you need to go look at. It was dedicated for a payment that Albany, Georgia said we owed them, because back in the Battle of Goliad, there was a group called the Fannin Men, and all of them were killed but Dr. Shackelford, and the reason they didn't kill him was because he was a doctor. So he came back, and that's how we got Shackelford County the name. You can come to Albany any time of year and there's something happening. We are just so prideful. We have so much history, and you can sit down and talk to these people, and they just beam when they get to tell it to you.
That's awesome. Hey, what about that football team here? Is that all right?
Hey, it's okay. Every year, this year we were a little nervous because we lost the first 5, but we played some really tough teams.
Well, good
and
deal.
they pulled it out, and they showed true heart in that, and we made the playoffs again.
That's exactly right. I watch y'all. Y'all know y'all are always dominant, and we're going to get over that hump here in the next couple of years and get a
I
state
sure
title.
Hope so. I sure
That's
hope
it.
so.
Well, Miss Jones, I tell you what, thank you so much for your
Thank you.
hospitality and sharing the, man, just plethora of history knowledge here in Albany. You know, one thing I take away, we've been making a trek out through West Texas, and there's a common denominator of that, and it's pride in your community, and you've got people that love their hometown, and they volunteer their times to share that with the public. You know, I don't think people understand, that's why I love my job so much, is because you come to Albany, Texas, who would think there would be a 7,000 square foot art gallery? You know, and just the history. I mean, this blows my mind. 1800s, late 1800s, guys that put those bricks up there have their initials on it. I guarantee you people don't know that in Dallas.
No.
So folks, that's what Drive Across Texas is about. So if you're ever out in Albany, Texas, in Shackelford County, be sure to stop by here. Talk to Miss Jones here. She'll give you a little history. Just pull somebody up in town. I'm telling you, this is a very, very involved community here in Albany, and I promise you they'll make it worth your time and your effort for your drive across Texas. I want to leave you with one thing, folks. You know it. That baby's coming from a Texan. Adios.
Drive across Texas.